This is Misha, and we're beginning a new series here. Honestly, this was an idea of Jay's that I thought was great. We're going to be doing a versus, where we pull two guns that probably went head-to-head against each other in a certain conflict, and kind of compare and contrast them. And for the first series of videos, we're going to do World War II, because that's kind of the most popular, most interest war, and it's also very diverse with many combatants. But if the videos are successful, and we'll kind of try to improve over time, taking pointers from you guys, we'll probably branch off into World War I, Korea, Vietnam, and so on and so forth. And since we're starting with World War II, I thought I would choose two of my favorites, both actions from that war. This is the U.S. model of 1903 A3 rifle in 30-06, manufactured by Remington, based on the Mauser 1893. Now, while the M1 Grand was officially standard issue in America, the 03 and the 03A3 were very much used. Over 1 million of them were used in that war, especially early on, 1942, and especially in the Pacific, and especially by the U.S. Marines. And the rifle that it went up against, at least one of them, from the Empire of Japan, the Type 99 Arasaka, chambered for 7.7 millimeter. Sorry, this one has the floor plate, guys. I gotta use my other hand. And frankly, also based on the 1893 Mauser. So these are two really good comparisons because they're in a lot of ways very similar bolt-action rifles that went head-to-head in the Pacific in 42-43. And so I picked an early example of the 99 for this video, and I went with the 03A3 over the standard 03 because the 03, even though some were made by Remington at the beginning of World War II, the A3 was really the version made for World War II. And really, I think is a superior version. So we'll talk about these. Now, this isn't really a history video. This is kind of just a comparison. If any of the guns you see in this series interest you, we will have actual history videos if you check the playlists out and everything. So if you see something in any of these vids that you really want to learn more about, feel free to browse through our playlist and find the history on it. Well, the original 03 was a short rifle, meaning it was not a long rifle with a barrel around 30 inches or a carbine with a barrel around 20. Short rifles typically had barrels in the 24 to 26 inch range. In the 03, when it was adopted in 1903, although it didn't really start to see service until 05-06, was one of the first short rifles to go into standard military use, and it would really usher in a whole generation because short rifles were quickly determined to be the best. Initially, it was chambered for the 30-03 cartridge, but then quickly the Spitzer 30-06 cartridge, very famously known to our European friends, 7.62 by 63 Springfield, was used in it during World War I and through World War II. As I said, the M1 Grand was officially standard issue when World War II kicked off after Pearl Harbor. But they did not have near enough M1 Grands because they had quickly been kind of reworking them. They went from the gas trap system to a gas piston. Long story short, over 1 million World War I era Springfield and Rock Island 03s were in use. And then Remington started making new 03s in late 1941 for the military. At first they just wanted a small batch, maybe around 300,000 to supplement, excuse me, 100,000 to supplement, but then they quickly upped it to 300,000 and then 500,000. Well, as the old tooling wore out, Remington had obtained it from the old Rock Island Armory, which had closed. They started making the 03 modified, which had more stamped metal parts and was made faster and easier for machining for wartime. Enough changes eventually happened, though, that a new designation, 03A3, appeared in May of 42. And that's why I picked this. So we have the same original length barrel, 24 inches. A little sight protector here. Kind of neat, little round clip-on sight protector. Gives a very narrow field of view with the blade. You'll notice it has stamped swivels, saving on time. Takes a standard bayonet, 1905 pattern bayonet. There's no sight on the rear of the barrel as on the 03. Instead, what really made the 03A3 was this sight mounted back here on the bridge of the receiver. It's a peep sight. Much easier to use than the original leaf sight. Also easier to adjust. You have a knob here and for windage, and you have elevation. You just slide it here. Maybe not quite as fine of a target sight for match shooting as on the original 03, but much better as a combat sight and much cheaper to produce and build on this because it has a lot of stamped parts in this sight. A carryover from the original 03 is this turn down handle. We also have a cocking piece which you can cock manually, so in case you have a misfire, so we go and it doesn't work, you can recock and try again. And you can also use it as a de facto decocker, although I would not recommend this unless it was just necessary. Another feature, we have a device here. This is a mag feed cutoff. If you flip it in the up position, you feed from the magazine. If you flip it in the down position, you do not pick up a cartridge from the box mag. It's internal, Mauser pattern, holds 5 cartridges. If it's in the up position, you do have a last round hold back on the follower. And if you put it in the down position, because you're not picking up from the mag, you do not. See? There's our cocking piece sticking out. We have a Mauser style wing safety here. Let me get this, guys. See? This isn't used for disassembly on a Mauser. Instead, the side lever is for disassembly. The trigger guard magazine floor plate is a single piece made of stamped metal for ease of production. And different stocks were used. This has the semi-pistol grip stock, which is one of my favorites. I also like the full grip stock, the A1 style. Some were also made in straight stocks, which is not as much of a favorite. Unlike the original 03s, there's no finger grooves. And finally, we have a storage compartment in the butt stock, and this is a stamped steel butt plate. So these are pretty fast and streamlined, much more at least than the 03s. And would be manufactured by not only Remington, who originally developed the A3 version, but also Smith Corona. They would be made until spring of 44, by which time there were enough grands. So, the Arasaka, how does that compare? Like I said, this is a relatively early version. The Type 99 was adopted in 1939, being the 2599th year in the Japanese calendar. It was based on the original Type 38, which was itself a highly modified version of the Type 30, first introduced in 1897. So it predates the 03 by just a little bit. Now, originally, the Type 30 and 38 were made in long rifle and carbine configurations, but after World War I, they tried out the 1930s some short rifles with 24 and 25-inch barrels. So when the 99 came in, they originally were thinking to do a long rifle and a carbine. But one change they made, probably the most important, the original Arasaka was in a small 6.5 millimeter. They wanted to have better penetration, so on and so forth, so they went to a 7.7 by 58 millimeter, basically a British .303, but without the rim. They quickly discovered that a carbine was not effective, too short of a barrel, and a long rifle didn't give extra range or velocity, not enough to measure, so they went to a short rifle as standard with a barrel a little under 26 inches. So we're a little bit longer barrel than on our 03A3, and this was standard. These went into mass production in 1940, and versions with full features like this would be made through about 1942, and these would be made at up to 9 arsenals in both Japan and occupied East Asia, mainly China and Korea. We have a protected front sight like on the 03A3, but we have these ears, an open top instead. We have a full-length upper handguard like on the 03A3. Our rear sight is located at the rear of the barrel, so more of a traditional location, but it is, point back here, a peep, not a notch. This is a change that was done late in 38 production. We still have a 5-round integral magazine, Mauser style, but this is removable in the sense you can drop the floor plate to quickly empty it. So it's not a single piece like on the 03A3. This will make cleaning easier, also quickly dumping the ammunition out of a weapon. But this could come open in the field. The original 38, this was a whole separate piece. On the 99, it's actually hinged, so at least you're not going to lose your floor plate. On the 38, you could potentially press the button and dump everything out on the ground. At least this, you're only dumping the ammo. Now this bolt system, while it is based on the Mauser, it uses a totally different style of safety. It's a knob in the back here you press in and rotate. So you don't have any kind of recocking capability like on the 03A3. However, I do think the safety is perhaps a little more natural. You just press in and rotate. It's notched on the top, so you easily see if your safety's on. And to take it off, you just press in and rotate again. It also doubles as a gas shield. One thing I'll say about the Arasaka's bolt, it is extremely simple and robust. It only has about 6 parts, and they're all very large. So the chances of breaking are very, very small. Also, it's very easy to disassemble, much more so than your traditional Mauser or even 03A3 bolt. There's still a lot of machined metal on the 99, but they did adopt more stamped components and more time-saving measures. For example, using screws to hold on the barrel bands as opposed to the spring-loaded clips. Is quite famously known. We have things like this monopod on the early guns, kind of unnecessary but cool. We have the anti-aircraft sights, quite famously known. People kind of laugh at these. I'm going to point this at you guys. But when they were originally designed in the 1930s, the idea was to actually go after low-flying like scout monoplanes in China using mass volley fire from the infantry. So it made a little more sense. These features, of course, would be dropped quickly. One big advantage the 99 had over the 03A3, especially in the Pacific, was it had a chrome-lined bore chamber and also bolt face. And they would actually keep the chrome lining very late into production. Even some of your so-called last stitches will still have it, actually a large number. If nothing else, this gave it a major advantage in the Pacific. Now, it doesn't have a cleaning compartment in the stock, it's just a cupped butt plate. But it does have the rod here Early ones would have a full-length rod. Later they would have a sinker and they would tie something to it. But usually they would use a cleaning kit shared amongst a squad. So, who had the better gun? I know this is a little unfair because the US was starting to field the Garand. Japan never had a self-loading gun, but if we're just going to compare the bolt actions, the 03A3 was faster and easier to mass produce. It had the turn down bolt handle. It had a rear mounted peep sight, which gave a longer sight radius. It fires 30-06, a nice powerful cartridge. But the 99 still fires a very nice cartridge, 7.7, very, very similar. A little bit larger diameter, but a little bit shorter case, so about the same, honestly. The chrome line barrel, as I said. A little less cluttered of a front sight if you have the protector on the 03A3, but that protector is easily removed. Your sight radius is a little more narrowed down. We do have this dust cover, which people again kind of scoff at, but it made sense to protect the action. They had problems with the early Arasaka Type 30s getting crud in the action, so you understand why they put it there, and you can remove it, but it did honestly seal up the action very effectively. So it's kind of a win-lose there. I do think the safety is a little better, but these weren't quite as fast and easy to mass produce as the 03A3. Although they got better during the war, they never quite achieved the same level that America did. I do like that it has side sling mounts versus bottom. This makes it a little easier to carry for soldiers. I would definitely say that earlier 99s received more attention at the factory, but that really kind of slowed production down. Honestly, they're both about the same accuracy level, although again the 03A3 has better combat sights, so maybe there's a little bit of edge there. But on the other hand, that chrome line bore would keep your rifling and crown and chamber in better condition in the Pacific with all the salt water. So long term, the Arasaka might maintain a little better accuracy just because of having a protected barrel bore. So yeah, this is what America and Japan went to war with in 1942-43 in the mid-era of the war. Now on this series, I don't know that I'm always going to be able to declare a clear superior gun. I can point out where one is better and one maybe not so much, but you know, better is often subjective. I will say, I love the Arasaka, I love collecting it, but all things taken as a whole, manufacturing, ease of use, and just the general feel and quality, I'm going to have to give the slight edge to the 03A3. Just because. Now, if we're talking about the original 03, I would probably have to give it to the Japanese because it has the better sights. The 03 sights are great target sights, but not great combat sights, says the blind guy. But yeah, I just wanted to show the two guns that America and Japan went to war with. Like I said, this is the first attempt at this series, so any suggestions you have would be great.